Well, good morning, everybody. This is Catherine Toon. I'm not quite sure why I'm so washed out, but I don't have a lot of time to. I'll back up here so it looks maybe less washed out. But good morning. Having to do it this way because I kind of ran out of time. So, but glad to be here. I do have some cool stuff to minister to you today. I was just kind of sitting. Sometimes I have something very specific in terms of something a little more theological or something that I'm feeling led to share. But I don't think I have something brilliant theologically to share, but I do think I have something brilliant to share. And I feel like, sometimes good morning, Michael, good morning, Mike. So sometimes in the place where we're sort of grappling with our purpose, grappling with our destiny, grappling with like why we are here and what our greatest contribution is. I remember I used to I have this incredible fear like that I would die before I would contribute what I'm supposed to contribute, right? I think most of us have a sense of greatness inside. Unless we have been so squelched and broken inside every human being, whether they know God. Good morning, Mike. Good morning. Unless we've been so broken, almost everyone has a sense of something greater than themselves. And there's a reason for that. And that is because we are eternal beings, right? We are eternal beings that were made in the image of likeness of God. So we look like God, as Jesus is, so are we in this world. And so, which means that we have something, we have greatness inside us, each and every person. And there's no one that does not have that. And if you're not sensing that greatness, it's because you have been so beaten down that the lie feels true. The lie of insignificance feels true. There is not one person on the planet that is insignificant. And so much of the ways that we hurt one another, good morning, Robinson, is in this battle for significance. It's this sense that, wow, we need to tear someone down in order to make ourselves feel better, right? And so it's all about we war for significance. If you look at most of the wars, it's about territory. It's about making a name for yourself. In like even natural wars where we're fighting over soil, really, right? And just all the other wars. You look at the political wars. I mean, it's crazy. But you know what? It really is crazy. See, because the madness of alienation, of this sense that some people have it and some people don't. You have the haves and the have-nots, right? And is such a stinking lie, right? And so all the race wars and the gender wars and the socioeconomic wars that have plagued humanity is all about challenges with identity and purpose and meaning and significance and worth and value and love. Good morning, Deborah. And so where we have done this to one another, and we've all done it to one another, right? So where this has been such an issue because we have a deep, deep need for significance, right? A deep, deep need for significance. And so in our woundedness, we squelch people, we belittle people, we call people names, we strip people of things, we strip people of dignity. And this is the malady of human alienation. Where we feel separate from the one who is love. Good morning, Maura. Where we feel separate from the one who is all greatness and glory. This is the area where we start to act out in ways that harm ourselves and harm one another. So your greatest contribution, I am convinced, is going to be the journey that you have with Jesus. and releasing that journey and sharing that journey and releasing the fruits of that journey, because God never leaves his kids alone. This used to be such a source of irritation to me when I was running away from God. Yeah. Because if you're so good and you're so powerful, you know, how do you let all these horrible things happen, right? And that's our humanity wagging its finger in the face of God, because God looks powerless. He looks like our abuser. He looks like he's not even there. All of these things, and we're angry because we're hurt. Yeah. And so, and then in the place where we harm one another in this, right? And so we're constantly battling for significance and value and worth and impact, you know. And it's interesting because I've been sitting with just a lot of Paul Young's teachings. It's really ministering to me lately. And one of this brilliant thing, he's so brilliant. And most of his brilliance really comes from him sharing his journey of massive, massive brokenness and what the Lord did in that. And then he's able to make his greatest contributions, right? Oh yeah, this war, you know, Michael, you're so right. This war happens in ministry also. I think in ministry, it is insidious. This is what religion is all about, right? Because religion is all about propping up something that is really nothing and harming people in the process. It's all a battle for power and all of that. And it is particularly noxious because it literally says, I represent God and this is what God is like, right? And so people run. If they're smart, they run. But in the place where you run away from God, that is, you know, that's not helpful. But I love the thing about God. He ministered this to me the other day. He said, you know, because I was thinking about that time frame when I was so spitting angry at God. I mean, I was livid. Good morning, Kim. And he was showing me, he was like, Catherine, you know, I just had longer legs than you. So wherever you're running straight into me. There's nowhere that you can run away from love. And so I have this chapter in my book called Annoying Relentless Love, because God was relentless and I was so annoyed, but there was a place inside me in my eternal self that knew and was glad that God was relentless. You see, if God can't love you when you spit in his face, he doesn't love you. Yeah. All right. So this is a sense of, so where are we getting our identity and value and worth and significance? And I'll just tell on me. How about that? So, you know, because of my brokenness and my past, which was really, you know, it wasn't my fault, right? I was born into it and it was insanity and it was incredible. It was decimation, right? And I ran from it for so many years. But, you know, isn't it amazing? Whatever you bury resurrects. And that is actually good. You know what I mean? So at some point, the pain you've been running from will resurface. And that's why we are a world of medication. And we medicate with all sorts of things. And I happen to pick a medication that was more sociologically acceptable and lauded, right? So I chose the hardest thing I could think of, which was medicine. And I poured myself into that. Not part of it because I really wanted to help people, because that really is my heart. That is such a central identity and purpose and thing with me, but part of it because I wanted to medicate pain. And if I ever stopped running, the pain would overtake me and consume me. And, you know, it's amazing when you finally face your demons, okay? When you finally do that, and God is able to show up for you in those ways, you are able to overcome. And you start to learn something that is eternal. And you start to learn something that is so much greater than yourself. And you start to build your life. Sometimes God will tear down foundations that are faulty foundations. He totally will. And you think you're left with nothing. And then he rebuilds it. He rebuilds it. That's part of Isaiah 61 that says he rebuilds the waste places, the places of desolation that have been that have been desolations for generations. He rebuilds those. And then, and the beautiful thing is that he invites you in that. So in the very place of your greatest shame, your greatest defeat, your greatest powerlessness, your greatest victimization, your greatest sin, the greatest sin that has been done against you, whatever that, those become places of splendor and glory and anointing. And you get to partner. God gives you the honor of partnering with him in that to rebuild those waste places. And it's not just for you, it's for generations. So where there's been a generational curse, so to speak, there is now a generational blessing. Why? Because you have been unveiled with who you truly are. You know, Romans 8 says that those he foreknew, which means he knew you before you were a you, right? He justified, which means the sin issue has been taken care of, right, from his end. And then those he justified, he glorified. So what is the end point in that process? It is, oh my goodness, your glorification as a son and daughter of God, made in the image and likeness of God. How much glory does God carry? Well, that's what you carry inside of you because you look just like him. This is not, you know, we got all religious about it because of the passages that say, I will not share my glory. But the truth is he absolutely shares his glory. So if you actually read those passages in context, those passages are all about idols. He's not going to share his glory with an idol, but is he going to share his glory with his kids? And let me say this, your greatest glory, manifestation, revelation, revealed glory, unveiled glory, it comes from the place of your greatest defeat where you were powerless to help yourself. Yeah, because it's all God. And then what's truly you, what's truly eternal, gets to be revealed. So those passages where it talks about God being consuming fire, let me say what that fire is. That fire is love. It's the blazing hot fire of God that consumes everything, and is relentless, that consumes everything that does not look like love. Because the authentic you looks like love. Yeah. The authentic you living from the inside out with no pretense, with no crutches, with no facades and having to prove something. That's all stripped away and laid bare. And what is laid bare and open is beautiful and naked and unashamed. Why? Because you're who you really are. And who you really are. Boy, I tell you, so many of us have this fear that lurking down way, if people really knew us, this would be, you know, it would be that we were hideous inside. And that's a lie, because you're made in the image and likeness of love. That's every single human being. And so what has been imposed on you, you know, maybe, I mean, for me, I mean, you know, I have a testimony of incest from my father from the age probably of 2. Okay. So, and it's not to dishonor him, but it's just honest. Oh, wow. Okay. Depending on where I look, where I go. Okay. This is funny. Okay. So I'm just saying that will do a number on your identity and a shame-based nature. I used to wear shame like it was who I was. Well, it wasn't my shame. And, you know, no condemnation. I'm not here to string anybody up, because that came from such brokenness. You know, it was amazing when God started, when God really healed my heart for the shame that was, you know, that was imposed on me, right? And then he started to minister to me because I saw his grief and just his unhinged grief with the pain of his towards me and what happened to me. But then as I kind of got that and got my heart healed, the same thing, he'd take me back to the same place and said, you know what, this was my son who did this to you, and I never made my son in the image and likeness of an animal that would do that to a little 2-year-old, right? And so And so I got his heart for my father, who is honestly still so broken. My heart goes to him, but I'm able to see, isn't it amazing, his beauty. He is so beautiful. I'm just saying this, okay, who he really is, and he's not been able to connect with that. And God doesn't force anybody to be whole. He doesn't force anybody to love him. He doesn't force anybody to be healed. He just doesn't force anybody. Okay, that is not his nature. That is not the nature of love. But I will say this, God, because I prayed about my dad a lot, and just his salvation, whatever that, his awakening to Jesus, and just all of that. And, and he's just assured me. So I've just learned to rest. Like, he's got my dad. And I'm really happy about this, because that was not who my dad is, right? And so I believe love is so masterful that, if you don't choose him before you die, he will pursue you in hell. He will do that. He will do that. And it's not an eternal conscience torment. It is the fires of love that relentlessly pursue every single son and daughter made in his image and likeness, whether they choose him or not. And I personally have the great hope that every single person, even if it's after death, will choose him. It's pretty hard for eternity, turn love down. Yeah. So I'm at rest. I don't know. That's God's business. I don't have perfect theology. So if you're expecting that from me, it's not happening. But I am just at rest. Why? Because I know the one who loved me and gave himself up for me. And then I know him on behalf of so many that don't know him. Yeah. And I trust him. I trust him in his pursuit of humanity. I trust him in his pursuit to redeem and pull all things, draw all things to himself. I trust him in the place where people have done abominable things to one another. Abominable things have been done to me. I've done abominable things. We all have. It's a level playing ground, right? I trust him in that. I trust him in his ability to redeem all things to himself. Hi, Lionel. So good to see you. So let me see what you said, Michael, because you always have brilliant things to say. Oh, awesome. Making a righteous judgment, calling apparent ugly things beautiful. And that's just true, because the ugly, so good, Michael. And unfortunately, I'm not able to see the whole, your whole thing there. But the truth is, okay, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Thank you. But I'm so excited because, good morning, Lynn. Because we're talking about, and Michael, I'm trying to get in a place where my face isn't all funky. So you're talking about calling apparent ugly things beautiful. And I will say this is so good, because ugly things are a lie. They really are. They're not a lie in our experience. I mean, how many of you, if you've experienced rape or if you've experienced, someone being murdered in your family, if you've experienced dying from a stinking COVID virus, someone in your family, there's hideous, ugly things, that humanity does experience. So I'm not watering those down. I'm just saying those just don't get the final word. It's like, so talk to the hand, because Jesus is redeeming all things to himself. He's able to create from the things that don't even have, that have been so decimated, that don't even have enough substance to be more than an ash. That's the point where God makes all things beautiful. Oh my goodness. And I'm so excited because I'm in the process of writing this book, Redeeming Beauty. The reason I mention it is not because I'm trying to pre-sell or anything. I'm just so excited with the revelation that God is giving me about this. The Word of God says that God makes all things beautiful in its time. So if it's not beautiful yet, give it some time. So how masterful is God at making the ugly things? Poverty is ugly. Racism is ugly. Sexism is ugly. Oppression is ugly. Thieving, stealing, killing, raping, murdering is ugly. All the political partisanship that's going on, excuse me while I vomit in my shoes, that's ugly on both sides. On both sides, right? So right? It's ugly, right? Because anything that is not true is actually an ugly thing, because God is truth, and truth is love, and love is lovely and holy. You know, another word for holy is the word wholeness, right? And we've made it, as the religious community, we've made it something ugly, right? What's a bunch of rules, which is about earning righteousness. Well, listen, if you're not righteous to begin with, you can't earn it, baby. You know, if you think you're going to add something to actually who you really are, and to what Jesus has done on the cross for your behalf, and what God did before the foundation of the world on behalf of humanity, if we think we're going to add something, you know, pride is ugly. And somehow fluffing, if we have to fluff it up and buff it up and work it up, well, you know what? It's not real to begin with. So, you know, quit working so hard. I tell you, one of the greatest antidotes to religion is exhaustion. You know, when you're just too exhausted, I just can't do it anymore. I just can't. It's like, awesome. You know, I really feel that's the area where we get to the end of ourselves, to the end of ego. And then God is like, oh, God, I've been waiting. Well, I guess he doesn't say God, but I've been waiting for you to get to the end of yourself so I can actually do something that I always intended to do, right? And so, you know, so for me, if I'm like, oh my God, if I have to work that hard, I'm just not, I can't do it. Just not happening. Right. And I believe in hard work, but I don't believe in fluffing and buffing hard work. Right. If I'm straining because God's not, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. So nothing's going to happen, because Jesus, if you can't pull this one off, I'm not doing anything. Right. So, and I like what you said earlier, Michael, that, you know, ministry, we've made a work out of ministry. We've made ministry something that, you know, that's about us. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, I mean, it's about God through you. But, you know, where we have to make it something and make it work. Oh my God, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. And so, and I think that, you know, that's just a humility, that happens. And humility is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. It really is. How many of you love humble people? I mean, I'm looking at the names flashing up and I'm saying, these are humble. Oh my God, I just love them. Beautiful people who God has done such a work in, right? And they look like Jesus. They look like love. They look like their flavor of the person of love. And it's breathtaking. And that is where, good morning, Pierre, that is where we are making our greatest contribution. So, you know, whatever that looks like, if it looks like an international la-di-da ministry, woohoo! If it looks like a Facebook Live where one person is on, woohoo! It just looks like whatever it looks like. But you get to look like love in your flavor. And your journey and what God has done with you, in you, through you, is your greatest contribution. So relax. Let God be beautiful for you. Let him minister to you. Let him minister all the areas that don't feel good enough, that don't feel significant, that don't feel valuable, that don't feel worthy, that don't feel great, that don't feel secure, that don't feel like you have something to offer, because all of that is bogus. It's bogus, and he is after it. He is after that to burn it up so that what remains is you and him. That's eternal. That's great. That's powerful. That's valuable. That is beautiful. And that is your greatest contribution. Anyway, I hope this has been a blessing for you today. I'm having quite a bit of challenges with my technology this morning, we got something up there. Woohoo! And just to let you know too, my How to Hear God mini book, we kind of had to hit a snag, trying to work some things out. So I'm still working on it. I should be getting it out by the end of the month. It will be free. Yay! because I really want you to connect with God and have him minister to you. All these things I've been talking to you about, that is your birthright as a son and daughter of God, is this intimate connection of God where he speaks to you, where you see, hear, sense, feel, connect with him uniquely as in your thoughts. However that is, in ways that are beautiful and powerful and eternal, and he's able to unveil you and reveal to you and reveal your purpose in the context of who you and him are together, and release his incredible purposes for you that are beautiful, powerful, and breathtaking and one of a kind, and that are needed. You becoming you and being unveiled who you are fills a hole, a vacuum in the universe that will not be filled unless you are manifested as a son and daughter of God, and that is amazing. So anyway, I will let you know how to access that for yourselves. It will be totally free. It's about 60 pages, so it's not like I think it's a little bit under, so it's not something small, but I just want to hear what God is doing through you. That is just so exciting. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll keep you informed. Be looking for news of this on my Catherine Toon MD channel, and on Instagram. We'll try to get it out there, and share. I love you guys. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye. Press this button.